Getting on, guys. This is an awesome turnout. This is Josh Coates, and he's going to talk to us about mentoring. Josh is a member of the John Maxwell team. So, like the famous personal development author, he wrote the 21 Laws of Irrefutable Leadership, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, the number one selling leadership book in the US. But the crazy thing is, it's still the number one book, but it's many years old. Like it's like a tried and true, like timeless book about leadership. And I read it and it's awesome. And Josh works one-on-one with me as like my mentor, and he helps me with a lot of things with my team and just staying motivated and positive and mentoring and goal set. I mean, he's my life coach. He's stuck with me till the day I die. So this is Josh. He's going to talk to us all, and I think you guys are really going to like it.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me to speak to all of your peeps. We got a pretty big group of diamonds here, which is really rad. Everyone, just a reminder, if you're on Periscope, I'm not looking at you because I'm looking at all these awesome people that are on here. I know they got on Periscope, they're like, why is he just sitting there staring at his computer? This is the most awkward thing I've ever seen. But so Megan wanted me, so like she said, I'm on the John Maxwell team. He's the number one leadership trainer in the world. He didn't make that statement himself. Inc. magazine made it, not Inc. as in the tattoo magazine, but Inc. as in INC magazine, a couple other magazines. And basically no one on the planet is arguing with that. The dude has literally been hired by presidents of countries to come in and actually train like the main leaders of their whole country. So anytime you have countries hiring people to come in and like fix things, you know you're doing something right. So tonight, the cool thing, I have a really cool relationship with Beachbody because like 98% of my clients are Beachbody coaches. So something that I'm constantly doing is reading John Maxwell, listening to John Maxwell, listening to obviously my mentors on the Maxwell team, and then taking that and putting it into Beachbody language. So kind of like it makes it dumb proof. It makes it easy to understand how the heck does all this apply to like my Beachbody business? You know, John Maxwell a lot of times is using examples from corporate America. Examples from, you know, businesses where there's managers and there's districts and regionals and Beachbody it's set up differently, right? Because it's network marketing, right? So every single one of you is your own boss, and you don't necessarily have a manager that you answer to, and you're not necessarily a manager for someone else. So it kind of trips things out a little bit. But Megan wanted me to speak tonight on mentoring people. Mentoring is one of probably the biggest missing links in Beachbody. And I say that because I know of lots of people in this company that have become very, very successful, not necessarily because anyone intentionally mentored them, but because they watched a bunch of videos, they got their hands on resources, and they found a way to make it work. And I've always wondered, what happens when we become intentional about mentoring people? I believe that we can do anything, like literally anything, if we become intentional about it. I mean, just think about this for a second. I was talking to one of my clients about this today. We somehow have the capability of getting in a freaking rocket and going to other planets. Like, have you ever thought about how ridiculous that is? That we could actually like get in a spaceship and like go visit Mars. I mean, I don't know if like how livable it is, but we could get there if we wanted to. We have dudes walking on the moon, supposedly, right? Maybe not. Maybe it was a green screen, but I think maybe some people walked on the moon. I believe it. I do. There has been some crazy, crazy, crazy things happen, but it was all because someone was intentional. Someone looked up in the sky, said, that moon's really cool. I really want to walk on that. But imagine if they have this dream and they just walk around for years just wondering, wouldn't that be neat if I could walk on the moon? No one would be on the moon, would they? Someone had to sit down and start calculating some stuff. I mean, to be honest, I don't know exactly the process they had to go through because I'm horrible at science, but somebody had to be really specific about some type of process that they would have to implement to make that happen, right? And so I talk to Beachbody coaches all the time, and one of the things that I found is very, very, very few people, and I say very few because I haven't met anyone yet that was actually doing, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that is. Very few people have been intentional about mentoring other people. Now, we have team calls. We have files in the team page. We have resources. You know, we have the National Wake Up Call. We have all of these things that help encourage people and help motivate people. But mentoring is like a whole nother ball game, because mentoring is when you take someone under your wing and you say, here's the deal. I'm going to help you get from point A to point B. Oh, someone hopped on. There we go. Thank you. I'm going to help you get from point A to B. I'm going to be very intentional and specific about making sure your goals happen. Now think about it. With your health journey, does anybody ever show up at the gym, look around at all the different machines and go, I think I'll try out the treadmill for 5 minutes. You get bored. I think I'll go try. Every gym has like the ab corner where there's like 10 different machines that you can use to work out your abs. And there's always some random dude over there trying to like rock the ab corner. And so you go over there, hang out for 10 or 15 minutes. Maybe you go do some bicep curls. If you walk into the gym with no game plan, how successful are you going to be with losing weight or getting healthy or whatever it is you're trying to do? Are you going to be very successful? Why do Beachbody products work? Because we have a very intentional game plan that we put into people's hands. Say, here's the deal. And sometimes we're spoiled by this because we didn't actually have to plan it out. They kind of did it for us, right? The program shows up. I just got hammer and chisel in the mail. How many people are doing hammer and chisel? Anybody? Couple people? Dude, Plyometrics tore me up today. It comes in the mail, and all you do is you look at the calendar. You go, day 1, I put in this DVD. Day 2, I put in this DVD. It comes with a meal plan. These are the foods you should be eating. This is the containers, and this is how many containers. The only way you can not be successful at one of these programs is if you just decide not to do what they said, right? If you do what they say, you 100% are going to have some type of success. Now, maybe you don't look like the people on the infomercials. You know, I've never once got myself to quite look like those dudes. I don't know, maybe it's DNA genetic. I don't know, but I've had great results with Beachbody programs. And so that's the thing with the health. We know we have to be intentional about it, right? Hopefully you're health and fitness coaches, right? Think about your business. How many people unintentionally hit SC20? Maybe every once in a while, somebody, randomly shows up at a party with some friends and people are like, wow, you look incredible. How did you do that? Beachbody. And 20 people sign up right there on the spot. Maybe that happens every once in a while. But for the most part, you hit SC20 usually because you're very intentional about doing your 3 vital behaviors. Am I right? You're being a product of the product. You're inviting people to try the products, and you're doing your personal development. If you are intentional about doing those 3 things, you'll have good results in this business. And to be honest, the people who aren't having good results in this business, if you talk to them long enough like I do, you'll find out they're not doing the 3 vital behaviors. I mean, it's as simple as that. So when I talk to coaches who are diamond level, who aren't rank advancing, and some of them are 2 stars, some of them are 4 stars. I've talked to people that are 10 stars, and very rarely is anyone being intentional about mentoring other people to diamond, or mentoring people from diamond to say maybe 2 star, or from 2 star to 5 star. What do? Many of us, we run team pages. And if we say this, I've got this online scheduler. I know a lot of you use, I think it's Acute is what it's called, something like that. If you need to talk to me, if you need help, if you want something, go to my scheduler and you can set up a time to talk to me. But let me ask you guys something. How many human beings do you know that reach out for help when they need it? If human beings reached out when they needed help, we wouldn't need the vital behavior too. We wouldn't need to invite. All we would need to do is get on Facebook or get on Instagram or get on Periscope and say, hey guys, I'm now selling health and fitness products. If you need it, give me a call. And our phone would literally ring all day and night because people all over America and Canada, sorry, I know Canadians hate it when we call it America. I'm sorry. All over the United States and Canada need a health and fitness journey and need help. And if people reached out for help when they needed it, all of you would hit SC 100 or more every single month. You would. I promise you. So we've got to learn to be intentional about our leadership and intentional about mentoring people the exact same way we would be intentional about our health and fitness journey, the same stinking way we would be intentional about our 3 vital behaviors. So I want to teach you some basics to intentional mentoring tonight. This is some stuff that I teach in a group that I run called The Art of Leading, which is specifically for Beachbody coaches that are diamond level and higher on how to motivate, mentor, and multiply. Everyone struggles with motivating their teams, getting other people to buy in, and very few people are mentoring. So I created a group where I could teach the things that I work with people like Megan in our one-on-one sessions. So first of all, I need you to understand the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule simply says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your people. Now this is not like a Beachbody statistic. This is a worldwide statistic, okay? 20% of Americans, United States people, sorry, Canadians like gotta hate my guts because I throw around America all the time. But 20% of us consume 80% of the alcohol. Think about it. How many people do you know that buy like a 24-pack every single week? Not a ton of people, right? Most people buy like a 6-pack a week. But there are a certain amount of people, they buy a 24-pack, maybe even a 48-pack every single week, right? Now, hopefully you guys aren't doing that. If you are, you're not following the meal plan. But the thing is that 20% of America that is doing that, they produce the majority of the actual profits for alcohol companies, Budweiser, whatever. So let me ask you this. What would be more profitable? Let's just throw out Budweiser because that's a random company, okay? If Budweiser put all of their money, if they said we're gonna invest millions of dollars into advertising, would it be smarter to invest their money into people that buy 1 6-pack a week or into people that buy, say, a 24-pack a week? Which one of those people would you want to double the amount of alcohol they consume if you were Budweiser? You going after the guy that buys a 6-pack or the guy that buys a 24-pack? Me personally, I'm going to spend my advertising on the guy that buys the 24-pack. And here's why. Because the guy that's already buying a 24-pack, if you just introduce a new flavor, he'll go buy another 24-pack. I mean, it's as easy as that. You say, hey, we added lime. Okay, we added lime to our beer. Why would you add lime to beer? I have no idea, but we did it, and now everyone that buys a 24-pack went and bought a second 24-pack, right? What about the guy who only buys 1 6-pack? Is a new flavor going to cause him to go buy another 6-pack? Probably not, right? It's not something that's important in his life. It's not something he's really motivated or that into. It's going to take a whole lot of work and effort. It's going to take you doing 20 times as much effort to just get that guy's attention, to get him to spend more money. But yet, so many Beachbody coaches are doing this. The 20% of people on your team that are rocking it, and they're really serious about the business, and they're producing some incredible results. You're going, well, they must be good. They don't need me. And so you focus all of your time and energy into the 80% of people who don't even want to be here. And maybe they love Beachbody and maybe they love working the business, but it's not their passion, and it's not something that they're willing to commit to taking to the next level. And you spend 80% of your time, 80% of your energy, 80% of your money on prizes and award, all these, trying to find all these magical ways to get people who aren't motivated to be motivated, right? If you hit SC this month, I'll give you a free car, right? And then still no one hits SC, and you're like, what? No, a free car? I was going to give you guys a free car. Like, what's going on here? And you're trying to give out tank tops. You're trying to give out headbands. And you're giving out, I don't know, free tickets to maybe see Taylor Swift. I don't know. You're just going crazy trying to get people to hit SC. When 20% of your team is hitting SC every single month, and instead of celebrating those people and giving them your time and your energy and your efforts, you are draining the crap out of yourself trying to get the other 80% motivated and excited. Here's a problem. Let's start with Botox. Let's do it. Let's start with Botox. Okay. Giving away free Botox for anyone that hits SC this month. So we've got to learn to focus. You know, if you were going to invest money, you wouldn't want to invest a bunch of money into a business that wasn't doing anything, right? You would want to invest your money into a business or a company or a stock or whatever that shows they're putting in work, they're putting in effort to make something happen with their business, right? I always tell people our time is so much more valuable than our money. If I need more money, I don't want to say it's no problem like I'm Donald Trump, my gosh, but I can make more money. I can make a couple phone calls. I can put out a couple Facebook ads. I can, speak on a few more. I can always make more money. But the one thing I can never get back is my time. While I'm in here on this call, this is an hour that I can never have back with my family. So I better make sure if I'm going to take an hour to speak to people, that they're people who are passionate and want to make a change in the world, right? I wouldn't want to just get on a call and just sacrifice an hour of my family to talk to a bunch of people that were maybe, I don't know if I really even want to do this. That wouldn't make much sense. Every single one of you, even if you don't have a family, I know a lot of you do, but even if you don't, you have a life, you have a social life, you have things and people and places that you care about. And every single hour you spend on your business is an hour you can't spend with your spouse, your kids, your best friends, whatever it is you have in your life. So I don't say this to say that you should ignore everyone else, but I say this to say that you need to spend 80% of your time with the 20% of people that really want it. Okay? I'm going to shut off Periscope right here because I think my battery is going to go dead. Let's see. Stop broadcast. Sorry. So you want to spend 80% of your time with the 20% of people that really, really want it. And I promise you, if you do this, you'll have more energy. You'll be more excited. What happens when you spend all day talking to people who don't really want this business? Is it not frustrating? Are you not exhausted at the end of the day? Do you not sometimes just, let's be honest, just want to shoot yourself because you're like, oh my gosh, like I literally just talked to people for 8 hours. I literally just talked people off a ledge all day. Like, I don't know why I'm a Beachbody coach. I should probably become a therapist. Or maybe I need to get a job at like a psych ward. I don't know. But that's what most people are doing. And so there is a balance to it, okay? There is a balance to it. We don't just ignore everyone else, but we do have team calls that everyone can get on, right? We have the team page that everyone's allowed in, and we offer motivation and resources in there every single day. There are 4 levels of influence. Number 1 is modeling, and that is being the coach that you want others to be. In other words, setting the example. The second level is motivating. The third level is mentoring. And the fourth level is multiplying. Every person on your team gets access to you as the modeler. In other words, everyone needs to see you setting the proper example of what a coach should look like, okay? Everyone on your team gets access to you, the motivator. Team calls is where we motivate people. We encourage people. We try to inspire people, right? The team page. But only a handful of people can have access to you, the mentor. And I always say this, if you're trying to help everyone, you're probably really not helping anyone. Imagine, why don't we have 500 kids? Can you imagine? I mean, obviously the women, you're like, because I don't want to pop out 500 kids, right? But I mean, think about it. Like, more kids, and at some point you run out of resources and time and energy for having that many kids, right? Most people have like 2 to 5 kids. I've got my 4th one on the way. After that, I'm done, man. If I have any more than 4 kids, I don't know that any of my kids will ever really see dad, because I'll just be like all over the place, running around like crazy, like a madman, right? So only about a handful of people can have access to you, the mentor, okay? So let's talk a little bit about what mentoring is, okay? Mentoring is simply taking someone by the hand and walking them to their goals. And I always say this. Technically, Zig Ziglar said this, but I kind of stole it from him. You can have anything you want in life if you'll simply help enough other people get what they want. One of the biggest mistakes we have in motivating and in mentoring is that we try to push people to our goals. I really want to hit 5-star elite, so I'm going to talk all of these people into going diamond in the next it's too late now, as you guys know. But about a month ago, there was a lot of people trying to push some people to diamond, right? That's not okay unless they have said, I want to be diamond. Then you can help them get to their goal of being diamond. And by doing so, you will always achieve your goal. But we can never use others to reach our goals. Instead, we have to help them to reach their goals. So the number one rule to mentoring is helping people reach their goals. I mean, it's really that simple. It's really as simple as what you guys do in challenge groups every single day. Every single day in a challenge group, what are you doing? You're taking somebody by the hand. You help them find out what their why is. You help them find out what their goal is. And then day to day, you're just checking in with them. Hey, you did 2 push-ups today instead of 1. Oh my gosh, awesome. Great job. And we get fired up for people in challenge groups if they just do anything at all, right? Like if someone is like, I kind of skipped my workout today, but I did sit up one time out of my chair. We're like, oh, right. You sat up in your chair? Oh, man, that's great. I'm so proud of you. Why? Because we want them to stay on HD and we want them to eventually become coaches, right? But when it comes to people that were coaches that we're working with, they're like, man, I didn't get in my 3 vitals today, but I took like 10 minutes, and I did send out a couple invites. We're like, what the heck is your problem? Why are you always making excuses? You are such a freaking loser. Now, obviously we don't say it that way, but sometimes that's what we're thinking in our head, right? We are so patient with challengers and we lose all patience when it comes to mentoring people, okay? So I want to give you a few guidelines on how we pick people to mentor so we don't set ourselves up for failure. How many of you say, Josh, if you could help me pick the people to mentor so that I don't have to shoot myself in the head 3 weeks from now, that would be great. Raise your hand if you don't want to shoot yourself in the head. Okay, good. So, couple things that I say. Number 1 is production. Now, I do like to point out that production is not the most important thing. It's just the most obvious thing, okay? If you have a coach who signed up this month and they hit SC30, you better give them a call and ask if they'd like to chat a little bit more about their goals, right? But just because someone's not hitting big numbers doesn't mean they can't make this business work and doesn't mean they're not doing stuff. I always like to remind people, my first year in business, I signed 2 clients. If you can do math very well, you understand that that's 1 client every 6 months. That's basically 5 months and 29 days that I went without signing a new client. That's really bad, isn't it? Right? And my mentor on the John Maxwell team, who serves on the Presidential Advisory Council, had it been based on just numbers, should have probably given up on me for sure by month 6, right? But the next 3 things that I'm going to tell you about, I had very, very high numbers on. So number 2 is activity. Do they show a high level of activity? Even if someone isn't getting big numbers, if they're actively working their business and doing the things that we have taught them, I swear to you, if you can just hold out with them, numbers will eventually show up. Some people move slower than others. Sometimes it has to do with their personality types. You can learn more about that on my YouTube page. I won't go into that tonight. Sometimes their personality types, sometimes their past experiences, sometimes they don't have the support of a spouse like maybe you do, or sometimes they do have the support of the spouse. And so all these different things are things we react to in different ways, right? So we just never know. But as long as they're being active and doing the things we give them, you can always give them more. Ooh, that was loud. Let me mute them. Sorry, guys. Did I get it muted? Mute. It's not muting. There it goes. Okay. So the third thing is attitude. We cannot mentor people who have bad attitudes. The last thing you want to do is spend a lot of time with someone that has a bad attitude. So even if they have really high activity level, if they're just always negative and always, like, hey, I know you're trying to like, this just doesn't work. It just sucks. I'm doing everything you told me, blah, blah. Now, everyone's going to have some meltdowns, okay? But there's a difference between having the occasional meltdown and just being a negative Nancy, right? No negative Nancy's allowed. They can hang out on the team page, but you don't need to be talking to them every day, okay? And then the last thing is, do they add or do they take away? Meaning, when you spend time with them, do you walk away with more energy and more excited about your business and more excited about helping other people? Or do you walk away and say, oh my gosh, if I ever have to talk to that person again, I swear I'm quitting. I just not worth it. Everyone has one of those people in their lives, right? Like, you get a text message from them, you get a Facebook message from them, and you're just like, oh my gosh, is there any way I can just ignore this for like 3 more days and maybe they won't notice? Or you accidentally, like sometimes in Facebook Messenger, why you got to show when I've read the message? Stop talking about me. Come on, Ange, you know that ain't you. Sometimes on Facebook Messenger, you're like, why does it have to show that I read it? And then you're like, can I swipe it over and show that it's unread, or did they maybe see that I already read it? And then it'll look really bad that I read it and then marked it as unread, right? We don't need to be working with those people on a regular basis, okay? So productivity is not the most important thing, but it is the most obvious thing. The most important thing, my mentor, the reason he kept working with me and kept holding on and believing in me was because my activity level was very high. I did everything he told me to do. Now, sometimes I had, mini meltdowns because it wasn't working, but I went and I did it anyways. My attitude was very good. I was always sure to, even if we had kind of like one of those like sessions where he had to kind of like pep talk me for an hour, I would always, before we got off the phone, let him know, here's the deal, Randy. I know I seemed a little bit down today, but I just want you to know, like, I'm still in it, man. I'm still working toward it. I'm not giving up. I'm sorry if that was a rough session, but like, I'm still doing this. I'm excited about it. Okay. I had a good attitude, even if I had my down moments, and I always looked to add value. I always tried to help him. I always wanted to be like a blessing to his life. I always wanted to give something back to him for everything he was doing for me. Okay. So first homework assignment, there's always homework. If there's no homework, we just had a good chat. 3 to 5 people, write them down that you want to start mentoring. If you have a smaller team, you may not have 5 people that you can mentor, okay? Like if you just went diamond, that means you got 2 emeralds and you probably have 6 discount coaches. If you only have 2 people to mentor, that's okay. Write them down. You can be intentional about 1 person if that's all you have. The number doesn't really matter. I just don't want you to necessarily try to mentor more than 5 people, because that can become really exhausting, okay? So, sorry, Lindsay has a question. I'm going to try. Geez, there's like 17 things over here. Our person, stop talking about me. are personally sponsored. Oh, okay. Great question, Lindsay. So they do not have to be PS coaches. Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, remember, it's not necessarily about hitting your goals. It's about helping other people hit their goals. And sometimes you got someone that's 2 or 3 levels down that's a lot more excited and a lot more passionate about any of your PS coaches. Grab them. I mean, it's only going to help your volume, right? Like either way, if you help anyone under you, it's going to, at some point, it will pay back. But at the end of the day, I'd rather help someone that I really am passionate about and really care about, that I make less money off of, than help someone that maybe I make more money off of, but I don't really enjoy the time with them. Does that make sense? So that's how we choose. Here's a few simple steps we can walk through to get this process started. I have 3 magic questions that I like to add. Actually, I've added it to 4. It's now 4 questions. I'm getting really complex here. First question is, where do you want to go with your business? And this is something that we're going to send them in like a personal message, okay? Where do you want to go with this business? They're going to say something a lot of times like, I want to go diamond. I want to go 5-star. I want to be top 10. That's not good enough. I need to know what's like the end result that you're really looking for. Do you want to quit a job? Do you want to take your family on a dream vacation? You know, like what do you just want to help a bunch of people? Like, I need to know your emotional trigger, just like on the health journey. I want to look great in a bikini. Okay, that's cool. We appreciate you telling me that, but there's more to it than that. You're not just trying to look good in a bikini. There's something emotional going on underneath that's making you want to get healthy, right? So the second question we ask them is, what are you struggling with the most? Sometimes we assume we know what people are struggling with, and sometimes it's just not the case. Sometimes they're not posting every day. So we assume that they're struggling with posts, but sometimes they're struggling with their self-esteem, and that's why they're not posting. So we can tell them to post all day and night, but as long as they're struggling with that self-esteem issue, they're not going to do it. But if we can get down to the root of it and help them solve that thing, then we can help them move forward. Third thing is, how can I help keep you motivated? Do you need a daily check-in? Some people really do need that. Some people hate daily check-ins. Absolutely can't stand it. They don't like to feel like they're being hovered over. So maybe they need a weekly check-in. I do recommend that if you're mentoring someone, I do highly recommend that there needs to be some type of weekly check-in. Because if there's not, how do you know if they're even doing any of the stuff that you're giving them, right? Just like the challenge groups. I mean, we have regular check-ins for a reason. We want to make sure you're actually doing the stuff that will eventually get the results, right? Some people are motivated by prizes. Some people aren't. The whole business is sometimes built on giving out prizes and hitting numbers, but some people aren't motivated by any of that stuff. So we need to find out what they're motivated by. The last thing I like to ask them is, what personality type are you? So if you go to my YouTube page, it's under Legacy Leadership. I have like a 4-minute video on personality types that I make very easy. It's all based on animals, okay? It's the easiest thing to remember. Yes, Megan is a rhino. It's the easiest thing to remember because I'm stupid. I can't remember the emerald, pearl, or personality A, B, all that crap. Animals, make it easy. I'm a little kid. I need easy, okay? So I'll give you a real quick breakdown. How's that? Rhino means I'm full force on. I push for goals. I love competition. I love numbers. I don't need an explanation. Just tell me what to do and let me go do it, right? A peacock is, I love to be in the spotlight. I love to have my name put on the board. I love to be the center of attention. I love, 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 love life. See how like I'm being a little flamboyant there. That's the peacock, okay? They just want to be the center of attention, but it's not always for the right reasons. They don't always like do the work they need to earn the spotlight. They just want the spotlight. Does that make sense? We all know people like that. I'm a bit of a peacock in social life, okay? I love to be the center of attention. Can you say what the video was called? It should be called Personality Types Made Simple. And it's under my page is called Legacy Leadership. If you want, I can send the link to it along with the link to this call when we're done tonight. Um, Golden Retriever is the next animal. Very loyal, very faithful, usually a little more on the quiet side. They love to be a part of the community. They love to be a part of what's going on, but they do not like the spotlight. They don't want any recognition. They don't want their name called out. They'll be embarrassed, okay? Then we have the owl. The owl is like the master over planner. The owl loves spreadsheets. The owl loves to organize and plan everything. Like Excel is their like best friend on the planet. That's the owl. The owl loves to plan, but the owl's greatest weakness is sometimes they spend so much time planning, they don't spend much time implementing. And that's a really big barrier in this business, because this business is built on putting your face out there and just seeing what happens, right? Like sometimes you got to post that before and after picture and it's going to be embarrassing, right? But it always gets the best response, right? So those are the personality types. You need to know what kind of personality type you're working with, because if you don't, you're going to botch this whole thing. Because a lot of people that are successful in this business are rhinos. Not all of them, of course, but a lot of them are. And a rhino's biggest weakness is communicating with others. A rhino is so driven by their own goals that rhinos almost always go diamond because they're just going to make it happen. But if they don't learn some leadership along the way, they can tend to hit a lid pretty quick, because you can only be so successful in this business by only having your personal business successful, right? At the end of the day, sorry, got to mute somebody. At the end of the day, you're only really as successful as you can help others to become, right? So as a rhino, every once in a while, you got to turn around and make sure people are actually following you. And that's why this intentional mentoring is so valuable, because if you're not intentional about it, especially if you're a rhino, you're going to run out ahead. You're going to hit SC 40 or 50 every single month. You're going to recruit 20 new people, and you're not even going to know who any of them are. And then you're going to wonder, why in the world is anybody else on my team like doing anything? Well, you don't even know they exist. Like, you're not spending time with them. How are they going to be successful if they're not being trained by someone? Does that make sense? So, once we get these questions sent out to them and we get their responses, what we want to help do is, for these people we're mentoring, that's why we can only mentor a handful of people. We want to help them come up with a specific daily game plan to help them reach their goals. For instance, if their biggest struggle is convos, we may need to spend a little time walking them through some convos and get their confidence level up. A lot of people are overthinking convos way too much. If their biggest struggle is personal development, I mean, everyone has a different struggle. We just don't know what it is until we dig in. But most of the time, once you do dig in, you see what the problem is. And most of the time you can help them. Okay. So we want to help them set some long-term goals based on where they said they want to go. Okay. You said you want to quit a job. Awesome. When do you want to do it by? Okay. You want to do it within a year? Great. So let's come up with a daily game plan to help you quit that job in 1 year. The next thing we want to do is keep them accountable. Once we've helped them come up with a daily game plan, and by daily game plan, really what I mean is help them set their power hour. Okay. Everyone's heard the term power hour, right? Like, that's a pretty like global beach body. Yes, no, give me yeses, give me nos. Yeses. Okay. We basically want to help them set up their power hour to make sure they're doing the most effective things and not playing on word swag and Canva for 45 minutes and then calling it work, right? We know that's what all new coaches do. They play on word swag, they play on Canva, and then they complain that they can't hit Success Club, right? So we got to help them come up with a very, very strong power hour. Some of them have time for 2 or 3 power hours. That's fine, but some of them don't. Okay, so make sure it's effective. And then we want to hold them accountable to that. Have at least a weekly check-in to check up on their progress, to check up on any new struggles, and then to continue pointing to the goal. People People are going to get flaky on you. I'm just going to tell you right now, just same way challengers do. Sometimes you're going to have to call them out and say, here's the deal. But people are always, this is a big thing that leaders struggle with. How do I give tough love? And this is how we give tough love. We point to their goal. Now, here's the deal. Megan, you told me you want to quit that job in 1 year. Okay? Now, let me ask you, are you doing the things each day you need to do to hit that goal? And of course, they're going to say no, right? Now, we didn't tell them they're not doing what they need to do. All we did was point to their goal and ask them, are you doing what you need to do? Do you still want to hit that goal? And then we give them a chance to recommit. And I'd like to say this. If we give people 2 or 3 chances to recommit, at some point we have to basically cut them loose. And the way we do that is, here's the deal. I know we came up with this goal. You said you wanted to do it, but you're not putting in the action that it takes. So I can find another way to help you. You know, we can still chat with you on team calls and stuff, but my one-on-one mentoring time is very limited. So if you're not going to do the stuff that we talked about doing, then I really need to work with someone else. And it sucks. And that's the hardest part of leadership, is moving on to new people. But at the end of the day, you can't make anybody's business successful. The only thing you can do is take them by the hand and lead them there. And I like to always remind people of this. Harriet Tubman became very, very intentional about freeing hundreds of slaves. But she was not able to free her own husband. Her own husband wasn't willing to make the journey. He was too afraid that they would get caught and he would get killed. And he decided that he would rather live in slavery than die in freedom. Whereas Harriet Tubman said, I would rather die in freedom than live in slavery. Now, I like to point out that's not a marriage advice, okay? It's not an excuse to leave the husband. It's just the only point is that we can only help the people that are willing to take our hand. So that's how we have to get intentional about mentoring. And there's a question here. What if we aren't good at their struggle? How do you tell them to do something you struggle at? Great question. To be honest, if you're struggling with something, it's actually more powerful. You can actually relate to that person. Some of the hardest things is when you're incredible at it and they're struggling with it, because then guess what? You're not even really that relatable. So remember that as a leader, you don't need to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. If someone comes to you and says, here's the deal, I'm really struggling to get my workouts in. And you're like, you know what? I've actually been pretty off on my health journey too. You know what? Let's do this together. Let's commit to each other that for the next 30 days, we're going to get some rockin' abs, or we're going to, you know what I mean? We're going to lose 5 pounds together, or we're going to do whatever. Okay. You don't have to have the answers. You just have to be willing to find them. So if you don't have the answer, commit to helping them find it. Or if it's something that you have the answer for, but you're just not implementing it, be honest. To be honest, I'm not really that good at that either. But I bet we can figure it out together. I have an upline coach and we can ask her or him, most of the time her, but sometimes every once in a while, him. I do see one guy on the call. It's nice to see. Every once in a while that happens. What's up, dude? So there's always other people that can help us. Okay. Let's see. I'm never afraid to tell people I don't know. Yeah. So your homework assignment, pick 3 to 5 people to mentor. Send them the 4 questions and set up at least weekly check-ins with them to help get them on track and help them reach their goals. And once those 3 to 5 people get to the point that they no longer need you, remember I said model, motivate, mentor, multiply. Eventually you get to the point where you've helped them enough that you've actually multiplied yourself into them and they no longer need you. And that's when you send them off to mentor their own 3 to 5 people, and you pick new people to mentor. And as long as you're continually mentoring new people, I promise you, stars will keep popping up next to your name, income will increase, and honestly, life's going to be more enjoyable. Okay? So, for those of you on this call, if you enjoyed tonight and you're like, dude, I need more help with my leadership journey, I do have a group called The Art of Leading that I mentioned earlier. The next group kicks off January 4th, and it's a 4-week training where I walk you through how to properly model, motivate, mentor, and multiply. So tonight was actually kind of a sample of what I teach on the mentoring night. Tonight, I think it went about 45 minutes. I usually go about an hour and 20 minutes in the class. So obviously, I didn't want to like keep everyone up till midnight tonight, but I wanted to deliver to you as much as I could. But that class, it's only $99 for 4 weeks. And it's all of the same principles. I do one-on-one mentoring with 3 of the top 25 Beachbody coaches. I have 4 clients right now that are in 5-star elite qualifying. I have a few clients that are 10 stars. I don't say any of that to brag on myself at all because I didn't make up any of this stuff. John Maxwell did. All I did was brought it to you guys. But I just say that to tell you it works. When you get intentional about making something happen, it works. And so if that's something you feel like you need for your business, you can go to joshuacoates.com. You can sign up, grab a spot there. We kick off January 4th. Would love to have all of you in that group. So at this time, if I know a bunch of you are on the East Coast, if you have time, I got like 10 or 15 minutes. If you guys want to ask some questions, you can just unmute yourself and ask away. I'm going to chug some water. Don't make me look silly just sitting here waiting for, someone's got to have, you guys are leaders. You got to be having something that you have a question about. There's a couple things in the chat. Let's see.
I have a question.
Okay. What's up, Emily?
Oh, nothing. I was just wondering, I guess, how would you, I guess I have a bunch of coaches right now that are just kind of idle. And I think that from the very beginning, they had the goal of making this something, but has since kind of taken a back seat. What would you think about reaching out to them to see if this is some like mentoring is something they would want to do versus the people that are hitting Success Club now versus them who are a couple months invested? So
that's kind of a toughie because I do not recommend mentoring people who aren't being active because it's a risky investment, right? What if you have a business that was killing it 3 months ago, but they haven't done anything since? Would you invest your money in them? And I know that sounds mean to make it sound like people are investments, but once again, it's time away from your family, right? It's not mean to decide whether or not someone's worth your time because every time you give up that time, that's something from your family that you can never get back. So what I would recommend doing, the people you mentor need to be people that are showing activity now. But if you have some people that have fallen off that your heart really goes out to and you want to help, what I would do is reach out to them and offer them at least like the accountability side of it. Does that make sense? Like I have some clients that were just like really on the struggle bus, So I was like, here's the deal. Like I helped them come up with their game plan. And then I said, here's the deal. Check in with me every single day at this time and let me know that you did your activities. And so I always tell coaches, if you have someone that's like fallen off that wants your time, but they're not earning it, make them earn it. Here's the deal. Like, I want to help you reach your goals. I do, but I need to see that you really want this. So here's the deal. Check in with me every single day at this time. I'm not going to message you. You need to message me every single day at this time. Sorry, a little hiccup. Every single day at this time. And if you can do that for the next, say, 2 weeks, then we can have a one-on-one and talk a little bit more. And then I need you to continue checking in with me every single day. And that needs to go for long enough that you can see, okay, they're definitely back on. You know what I mean? Like I'm no longer worried about them. And then we can start giving them some more time and attention. Does that make sense, Emily? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That's perfect.
Let's see. Success Club points on any of my coaches when I did like 3 months ago, 2 success starters now. So Jenny Lilly said that she had a bunch of people that were hitting Success Club, but now none of them are. Just remember this, Jenny, it's not necessarily production though. It's activity attitude, and do they add or take away? Because sometimes people are going to have down months, not necessarily because they weren't active, but because it's a tough business, and this is Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? So the thing we have to remember is, even if they're having a bad month, as long as they're staying active and doing the things they're supposed to be doing, I don't consider those being people that fell off. You know, like if you're in sports, sometimes you have athletes that have like a bad streak. That doesn't mean you take them out of the starting lineup, right? As long as they're practicing hard and having a good attitude, you keep them in there and give them a chance to recover. Sometimes it just takes hitting one shot, they're back on fire, and they're good to go. Let's see here.
I have a question or something that maybe you could help clarify.
Of course.
Any suggestions on how to get people to realize the potential, or to get them to realize that like the leaders that they like look up to on the team or idolize on the team, like that's not out of reach for them? Like, I know when I first started as a coach, it was really hard for me to believe that I could be as successful as Lauren, or be as successful as Andrew, be as successful as Brandy. But now 20 months into this business, I feel like I can be, and I'm working to be, and I want to be, but that's very hard to get people to grasp. Like, they look at it and they're like, oh, well, Megan, you know, she's different. She's crazy. She's special, but I'm not. I'm so average. It's not even funny.
Yeah. So that's probably the hardest thing in the world, because sometimes leaders naturally have a more powerful vision of the future, which is why they're leaders, right? They see the future, so they chase it. And followers don't naturally see the future. They see the present, right? Why is it that 98%, I'm making up a statistic, just pulled that out of my butt, but why is it that 90% of Americans don't work out? Because they don't see the future. They're just thinking about what it'll cost them today, right? So one is, we have to continually point to what it's costing them today and what they could gain in the future. See, sometimes we talk about the gain of the future, but we don't talk about the cost of today. Does that make sense? Like, in other words, what is it going to cost you not to pursue that goal? What if you can't be the next Megan Sayeni? What is it going to cost you to not find out, right? What is it going to cost you in your future and your family to not live up to your greatest potential? You know, Grant Cardone talks about, I mentioned this on the call the other night, that success is our ethical obligation. Why? Because our family is dependent on us, man. Our neighborhood, our community, our churches, they're all depending on us. So we have to continually remind them, not just of where they could go, but, if you don't pursue this and you don't go for it all the way, where are you going to be in 5 years? Are you going to be happy with that place? So what if you do try? And I think the other thing is continually reminding people of how bad we suck. I know that sounds crazy, because as leaders, we always want people to think we're perfect. That's the worst thing you can do is for people to think you're perfect. That's the worst thing you could do as a leader. You need to constantly, I try on every single call to remind people that my first year, I only signed 2 clients. Because I want them to see I'm nobody special. I'm just someone that stuck with it long enough for it to work. And even Kelly Clarkson said that about the music industry. She was telling some dude that got voted off one of those singing shows. She was like, man, you got to stick with it. I know you got voted off, but she's like, you want to know what the secret formula is to the music industry? Just hang on long enough to make it. No one in the music industry is any talented than anyone else. It's just that the people who hung on long enough eventually became successful. So it's tricky. I know that wasn't like a perfect answer, but if we can just keep them engaged long enough and keep pointing to how bad we sucked when we started. Hey, my first year, I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I didn't do this, but I just kept moving forward. How long have you coached for? Sorry if I missed that part. So I've been on the John Maxwell team for almost 2 years now. So my very first year, I signed 2 clients. This year, I added 28. And that's not to brag. That's just to show everyone, man, we all suck, right? But if we just stick with it long enough, there's something magical happens. John Maxwell calls it the law of momentum. When momentum gets on your side, man, look out. It's a beautiful thing. Did that help at all, Meg? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And then I thought about like what you said earlier, like how you said, you told me you wanted to pay off your house. So, what can you be doing today, tomorrow, and the next day to help you get there? And just keep
Right.
reminding them of that big goal
Yeah.
and what they have nothing to lose by trying to achieve it.
Yeah. And that's something that I thought of my entire first year of business when I was literally making, I made like $800 my entire first year in my business. Fortunately, I hadn't quit my day job yet. But every single day that I would come home and think about how bad I sucked and how bad the failure was, I'd ask myself, okay, if I keep trying, like at the absolute worst, surely even if I suck 5 years from now, I could have a successful business. If I don't try, 5 years from now, I'm still going to be detailing other people's cars, and I'm still going to be miserable, and I'm still going to have a bad back and my knees going out on me. So do I want to take the risk? It's really not much of a risk. Because if I don't try to make it happen, I lose, right? I still lose because I still have to clean other people's crap every day, right? So it's kind of like a win-win situation. Any other questions before I go like mad crazy on my Greek yogurt in there? I'm starving from that plyo workout, man. I'm freaking hungry. Any other questions? No. Going once, going twice, sold. Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys all so much for being on tonight. I appreciate it so much. Please, I know leadership is frustrating sometimes. I know it is, but remember the law of the process says a leader is not made in a day, but rather one day at a time. It's just like your health journey. It doesn't happen in 1 week, Sure, we can have a 3-day refresh that helps us recharge. You can lock yourself up in a room and read for 20 hours, but then you still got to keep going 1 day at a time afterwards. And you have to keep working and working and working. And 2 months from now, it may not even seem like it's made a difference. But 6 months from now, you're going to look back at where you were tonight and you're going to go, holy crap, I have come so far. So just remember that 1 day at a time is the only way anything happens in life. It's the only way leadership happens. Meg, did you want to close with something?
No, I was just thinking about what you said, and I think the one thing I want to add is like you see what we've all done, like in however long we've all been a coach. We've all been a coach for probably at least about a year now because we're all diamonds and we've all these names and faces are very familiar. We've all been in here for a really long time. And what's really cool and what I'm starting to see with my team is you start to see it getting duplicated. And that's like really awesome. Like when you see your coaches starting to be where you were and them moving through the ranks, it's just so incredible.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. So let's take a big picture together real quick, okay? Everybody loves pictures, right? Fix your hair, Ange. I saw you. Yeah, go ahead. All right. 1, 2, 3. That was awesome. All right.